So yesterday we just got the August Player of the Month program in MLB The Show 23 Diamond Dynasty. And those of you guys who have been watching my videos all year round, you guys know that after every Player of the Month program, we put all the rewards on a tier list so I can show you guys which guys are better than others. Obviously, you're going to be obtaining all of them, but just for fun, really. So yeah, let's get into the tier list. Starting off with the C tier, we have Freddie Peralta, Josh Lowe, Luis Rengifo, Yusei Kikuchi, ZACK, GELOF, still don't know how to say his name, and MADISON BUMGARNER. Starting off the C tier, we have the pitching captain, MADISON BUMGARNER, and look, I mean, the captains are nice because they give boosts to themselves as well as other players, but just looking on paper, just with the attributes, there's nothing special with this BUMGARNER card. BUMGARNER cards have never really been that good in MLB The Show. The only one I can think of is the Signature Series in MLB 20, and that was because he was like one of the only 98s or 99s in the game at the time. But, you know, no knock on this card. I mean, it's not horrible, but, I mean, like, control and break are good. The pitch mix is good. The velocity's bad. The per-9s are bad. Like, nothing too special. Moving on to ZACK GELOF. I still don't... Just tell me how to pronounce his name in the comments. But he's been one of the lone bright spots on Oakland. I predicted him to get a Player of the Month card, and he did. I mean, again, another card on paper where it's just like nothing special compared to the rest of them. Has good contact left and power right, but everything else is kind of just okay. I mean, goal defense, he has good speed as well, but just nothing too spectacular. I mean, the contact right and the power left, vision and discipline too, and the clutch too are all pretty bad. The next player in the C tier is Yusei Kikuchi. You know, he was pretty good for Seattle for a little bit, and then he struggled mightily. But he has been pretty good for Toronto lately. 4-seam slider, 12-6 circle change, so not a good pitch mix. Control and break are both very good, but he doesn't have a good pitch mix. His per-9s suck. His velo is okay. His pitching clutch helps him out a little, but overall, this card is not going to be good. Now, this Luis Rengifo card really isn't that bad. I mean, 106, 101 versus right, 125, 90 versus left, 125 clutch as well. His defense is silver, and he can play a bunch of spots, and he's a switch hitter. It's just like nobody's really going to use this card. Like, he doesn't do anything elite, not including contact left and clutch. That's pretty much the only thing he can do elite. Everything else is just kind of okay. And there are definitely better options in the infield in this program. Josh Lowe, this card, look, I mean, he's a platoon card. He's not going to be good against lefties. 75-65 versus lefties. And no, that can't really go up with the Gary Sanchez boost because he boosts righties. Yes, he has clutch to help him out for the contact, but I mean, 78 vision and 36 discipline is putrid. And the last card in the C tier is actually one of the 98s, and when I predicted Freddie Peralta to get one of the 98s, I mentioned how he deserves a Player of the Month card, but he's not going to be a good card, and I was correct. I mean, the per-9s are great, 115, 109, stamina's good, but pretty much everything else is just not good. Pitching clutch is only 93, the control, not that good. The break is solid, but I mean, the speed differentials are also pretty solid, but the pitch mix is just bad. 4-seam slider, curveball, changeup. Nothing too special out of this card. Moving on to the B tier, we have KERRY Carpenter, Sonny Gray, Kyle Bradish, Max Kepler, ERIK SWANSON, and Gary Sanchez. Moving to the B tier, we're going to start with KERRY Carpenter, another guy who I predicted successfully. Maxed out stats versus righties, 111 clutch. The lefty stats aren't as bad as it is with like Josh Lowe, which is pretty much why he's above Lowe. Obviously has some worse, not like significantly worse speed, but a little worse speed, and a tiny bit worse defense, strong arm. But obviously the reason why this card is not in the A tier or the S tier, stats versus lefties and the vision and discipline both suck. I was surprised to see Sonny Gray getting a Player of the Month card. I thought that, well, he already has a 97. Obviously it's set 2, so I'm not saying that he can't get another card in set 4. But I was just assuming they were going to give him a finest card and like a 99 finest for the year he's had. But, you know, I mean, this card isn't that bad. 4-seam slurve, sweep, and curve sinker cutter is a good pitch mix. Very good pitch mix. Control is elite. Break is elite. The velocity is not there. Only throws 94. The per-9s are not there. 105 is survivable, but 83 Ks per 9 is horrible. The clutch helps him out a lot, but I mean, the per-9s really hold this card back, and the velocity. I wish they just gave Kyle Bradish the Player of the Month last year when I actually predicted him, and then I didn't this last month for July. I predicted him in July, didn't get one. Didn't predict him in August, and he got one. But regardless, he's had a great year. Slider, 4-seam sinker, 12-6 circle change. Not a horrible pitch mix. Control is okay. Break, or it's not okay, it's just bad on like one pitch. Same thing with break. The velocity, the attribute is 99, but he doesn't really throw that hard. Does he have outlier? No. The per nines, again, it's kind of just like this card is kind of identical to Sonny Gray, except he throws harder and has worse clutch. Max Kepler, another guy who I predicted to be in this program, did not predict for him to have maxed out stats versus lefties. Now this card with the Gary Sanchez boost could get close to S tier because it gives him a big boost versus righties, which is what he needs, but we're not using the captain boosts for this tier list. Max Kepler, he's an elite defender, solid speed, max out stats versus lefties of course, but the stats versus righties, 94, 88, not good enough to be A tier at least. 73 vision, 78 discipline, also pretty low. 96 clutch also hurts him against lefties. Good card, but not great. I feel like Erik Swanson has been in like multiple of my monthly awards predictions, and then the one time I don't predict him, he gets a card. You know, reliever from the Jays, splitter, four-seam slider, so not an amazing pitch mix, but not horrible. Control is elite, break is elite. The per nines are great, 103, or not great, but they're solid, 103, 107. You know, pitching clutch, a 98 hurts him. The velocity hurts him. I mean, not a bad reliever, he's just not better than the guys above him. The last player in the B tier is the hitting captain, Gary Sanchez. Now, obviously, we all know what he lacks. The stats versus lefties, the discipline, the vision. The clutch isn't horrible, but it's not amazing. Defense is actually pretty good for a Gary Sanchez card. Really good for a Gary Sanchez card. And he destroys righties. But obviously, he can't be anywhere higher than the B tier just because of all those other stats. Moving on to the A tier now, we have Adam Duvall, Teoscar Hernandez, Ryan Mountcastle, SANCHEZ, Jake Burger, Jojo Romero, and Cionel Perez. Starting off the A tier, we have Adam Duvall, who I successfully predicted in the program. I predicted a bunch of these guys. This Duvall card is gross. I mean, 125 for both powers, 94, 111 contact, 107 clutch, defense is gold across the board, has solid speed, or not solid speed, he's got nice speed. He can play the corners, he can play the entire outfield very well. This is a great card. The reason why he's not an S tier, 63 vision and 58 discipline is just so unbelievably bad. That single-handedly holds him back, and the contact versus righties you'd like to be a little higher. Teoscar Hernandez, I thought about for my predictions, but I didn't end up using him, and he actually got a card. Look, this is pretty much the exact same story as Duvall. Everything is good except for the vision and the discipline. I mean, 62 vision, pretty bad, but 31 discipline. 31. You're not going to get a single check swing with this card. And obviously the power versus lefties is good enough, but you'd like it to be a tiny bit higher for S tier. Ryan Mountcastle, another guy who I predicted correctly, maxed out for stats versus lefties and clutch. Stats versus righties, the contact helps him out, but the power versus righties at 70. Just, I mean, 70 for power right and nice vision. You know, that's going to hold him back from S tier. And he is, I mean, okay defense. First base doesn't really matter as much, but still, definitely not S tier, but good enough for A. I had no idea SANCHEZ has had a great month of August. I always use his card in BR, so cool to see him get a Player of the Month card. 12-6, four-seam slider sinker, solid pitch mix for a reliever. Control is very good, break is very good. Speed differentials are there, velocity is there. I mean, pitching clutch is maxed out, Ks per 9 is maxed out. The one thing, literally one thing is holding him back from S tier, and that's 92 hits per 9. It's not good enough for S tier, it just isn't. Jake Burger, I love his swing. He's one of the most underrated players in the league this year. He's been a great hitter for Chicago and then now for Miami. Great pickup by Miami. But overall, just a really good hitting card. 120, 104 contact, 95, 118 power. Pretty much the same story as everybody else. Not good vision, not good discipline. Clutch hurts him too. Defense isn't horrible, but the vision and the discipline really hurts this card. Now we have another reliever in the A tier, Jojo Romero, and we have another one after this to wrap it up. Sinker, circle change, slider, four-seam cutter. Control is insane. Break is pretty good. Also predicted this guy. He does not have outlier, but he has 99 velo. Throws decently hard. The pitching clutch is there, 116. I already went through. The control and the breaker are both good. Maybe a little more on the cutter, but you don't really need too much. Same story as SANCHEZ. Just the hits per 9 is holding him back from S tier. Can't have a hits per 9 below 100 and be in the S tier. And then lastly, we have Cionel Perez from Baltimore. Sinker, four-seam slider, curveball. Control, pretty good except for the curve. Break is very good. You know, He does not have outlier, but he has maxed out velo and break. The per 9s are there, 103 hits per 9, 109 Ks per 9, 125 pitching collection. You're probably thinking to yourself, if you're going to say you need 100 hits per 9 to be in the S tier, why isn't Cionel Perez in the S tier? It's because of one little thing, which is kind of it's gonna annoy some people when I say this. The speed differentials on the slider curveball kind of annoys me here. This is a great card. This is a great card. He's gonna be good. But when I see this card, it just doesn't scream S tier to me. I don't know why. And finally, for the S tier, we of course have the Lightning player Julio Rodriguez, Raisel Iglesias, and we also have Mitch Garver. And then lastly, for the S tier, starting off with Mitch Garver, I was considering A tier for this card, but then I thought about the meta catchers in Season 4, and this guy stacks up with pretty much all of them offensively. Defensively, obviously not as good, but look, 101, 125, 125, 94. With 102 discipline, he has the discipline unlike the other guys. 120 clutch as well, helps him out a lot. 73 vision hurts him a little. You would like that to be higher, but he has the discipline to combat it. Defense isn't horrible too, it's in the silvers for a catcher. Great catching card here. Now this is an S tier reliever right here, Raisel Iglesias. When I was talking about Cionel Perez, I completely forgot about Iglesias. This is the reason why he's an A tier. I mean, he's not on the same level as this Iggy card. Maxed out hits per 9 and clutch. Control is very good, break is very good. The pitch mix is great. Circle change, 4-seam, sinker, slider. He does not have outlier, but he has 99 velo and break. Throws pretty hard. I mean, there isn't one thing this guy can't do. And then lastly, of course, we have the Lightning Julio Rodriguez in the S tier. I mean, I don't think there's ever going to be a Lightning card that doesn't make the S tier. September, maybe, who knows. But I mean, this card is amazing. Maxed out contact and clutch. 100, 111 power is great. I know the discipline is kind of low for a 99, 62 discipline. But he has the vision, he has the defense, he has maxed out arm, he has maxed out speed. You can turn down a little discipline for everything else this card gives you. So yeah, that's going to be it for this video. If you guys are new here, follow me on all my social medias, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, but most importantly, make sure you subscribe down here on YouTube. So yeah, see you guys in the next one. Peace.